All right, hey everybody, Friday update number, what do we got here? 19, I guess, here. As you can see right there, we've got Marshal Weltin. We figured these little interviews, Zoom interviews are the easiest way to do this. So man, Marshal was kind enough to hang out with us here for a few minutes and give us an update on what you do. Marshal, thanks for chatting with us today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, now, hey, where are you right now?
I'm at my apartment in Huntersville, North Carolina.
Okay, now is that somewhere between Charlotte and Club MX?
Yeah, it's just on the outskirts of Charlotte. That's where I set my roots. I just have an easy hour and 15, hour, 20-minute drive down to Club MX to do my training a few days a week. And it's kind of where I've grown keen to living. Got a bunch of friends in the area and just enjoy being in the Charlotte area.
Nice, man. Now, I was told when I left Club MX this spring to make sure I hit that little Mexican restaurant as you're heading that way. Have you been to that restaurant? I bet you have.
Oh, yeah. I've been
That was,
to pretty much every Mexican restaurant in North and South Carolina.
dude, that was literally some of the best burrito stuff I have ever had. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I don't mess around down here.
All right, well, cool, man. So that's where you are now. You're calling that home. What's the situation like the coronavirus stuff? I mean, you're able to get out and train still?
Yes, I mean, life hasn't really changed for me with COVID-19. Still training pretty much every day, and I get to go ride my dirt bike a couple days a week. I'm fortunate. Clubs still, they're still full operation, and yeah, I don't think the cases are as near as bad in North Carolina and South Carolina as it is up north. I think the numbers are significantly lower down here than they are up north.
Okay, well, let me ask you some of the usual questions that we always do on these things. Like some people, obviously, we're getting to know you, and it's just funny that yours is one of those names that, of course, in my photo reports, I've always been 1L in Marshall, and just trying to figure. I've seen you every time I go somewhere, you'd show up. But anyway, I mean, you've been around for a while. Let's back it way up though. How did you get your start racing motocross?
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan. Just raced locally in Michigan until tried to do the right things a couple times. I just didn't really have the speed and never really was that great of an amateur. And I moved to Club MX the end of my senior year of high school, and just that I actually finished out my high school career online, and I still got my diploma, but started training full time here. My parents were, generous enough to give me the opportunity to give training a full try, and it's like I went from, I think 2 years before that I made Loretta's in like 250B limited, and I got 20th place, and trained 1 year at Club MX, and yeah, it was like podium guy in 250A. So the progression came really quick with a full-time program. And after noticing that kind of progression in myself and, riding all the time, it was like kind of clear to me that's what I wanted to do. It's something I kind of grabbed a hold of because racing was never really something I looked at as a job growing up. It was something we did on the weekends for fun. And, as I got older, it kind of transitioned into like, man, if I keep working at this, there might be something here. So it's never really been something natural that's came for me, but it's been something where I've, worked and gotten better. So it's just cool feeling progression.
Well, that's interesting. It may actually pay off well for you because it sounds like you're a bit more of a late bloomer. So I mean, as you move forward and you get a little bit older, your career can be longer, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it that way, it's all about perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Right? Yeah, we're putting a positive spin on this. That's no, it's good. What? Hey, I mean, we always saw you with your old number and stuff like that. How did you pick your first ever race number? Is there a story behind your number?
Well, my first ever race number was 224, and it's because my two favorite riders were Chad Reed and Ricky Carmichael, and I ran that for a while, and then I got an AMA number. My AMA number was 285, so then I just ran 285, and something that kind of always stuck with me, and I always tend to go back to 285.
Okay, cool. So 224, nothing to do with Ron Lachine.
No, just RC and RC and Reed. That's it.
Okay, I always love that. I don't know. The stories are either a combination of favorite riders or their dad's or mom's race number. It's always seems to be one of those two things. Who? So obviously, my next question I always ask is, who was your hero growing up racing? Obviously, it was Chad Reed and Ricky Carmichael were your two guys.
Yeah, I think RC always was my
No, oh, is that my Wi-Fi or your Wi-Fi?
one I had a thing for, just his dominance, inspiring to be the greatest. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're breaking up a little bit.
Hello. I hear you again.
Okay, are you? Can you hear me? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, so you're a Michigan guy, so you didn't grab anyone like, I guess you're too young for like a Todd DeHoop or a Keith Bowen or a Stanton.
I mean, I talked to Bowen a little bit. I've met him before, but the other guys, no, I never really got in touch with them. I mean, obviously they're legends, and I know about them now. But growing up at the time, I didn't really know who they were. I didn't pay much attention to it. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of looked into history a little more, and I have massive respect for those guys and a career of racing. So I aspire to kind of have something like that one day to look back on.
Yeah. Well, I remember, man, when I was racing 80s in Michigan, Keith Bowen was just, man, we'd all just line the track and watch that guy just rip. It was incredible watching him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, so coming up through your ranks, I mean, you didn't start on the 50s. You weren't like this little 50 kid prodigy. Who were your biggest rivals as you came up?
Just some local Michigan kids. Jarrett Pesci, he was always like a step ahead. It's like I was always trying to chase and be as good as Jarrett, and Jarrett kind of, transitioned. He has a full-time job now, but I feel like he really had a lot of skill growing up. There was someone I was always trying to chase, and I battled a lot with Matt Clan and another kid, a Canadian kid. I don't know if you remember him or not. His name was Travis Canute. He always used to come across the border and race in Michigan with us, and going like all through 80s, we battled hard every race.
Cool, that's cool. Nice to hear a Canadian name thrown in there. So what I always ask what your best big amateur event was, but I guess you said it was your you didn't blossom until your A-class group. Then is that what you're saying?
I mean, I made Loretta's in 2007 in the 85 junior class, and it was like just such an accomplishment to make it there for us. And we went there, and I got like 35th every race, and it just wasn't it. And as far as the national scale, I never had results until I think 17 was podium 258. That was my first real accomplishment.
Okay, cool. So if 17 was your A class at Loretta's, did you turn pro at the end of that year, or did you wait till next year? Was 18 your first pro year? How did that go?
I actually stayed amateur all the way through the next year, and I went back to race A class again at Loretta's, hoping to kind of get some more support. Nothing really came, and then Justin Barsh offered to help me out, and he bought a couple bikes for me, and I ended up living with him and training with him for a while. Had a really cool opportunity with him, and kind of ended things on an injury of my own, and this kind of blew it. Supercross kind of bit me. He transitioned from helping me outdoors, and he's like, just come train Supercross at my place. So I was riding Supercross. I had, pretty good first round. I was like 15th. I transitioned into Supercross. That was great, and I just ended up hurting myself. So after that, I ended up being privateer on my own for a while. I think that was like summer 16. I did a privateer, and then in the fall of 2016, I had an opportunity to go race in Europe, and I got picked up by Bud Racing, and I did the European Championship, and then I raced the MX2 Championship the following year.
Man, see, now we open up a whole other. We could talk for hours here. Now I got tons of MXGP questions, but so we don't stay here all day. What can you sum up? What's that experience like, man? Take it just tell us briefly what MXGP stuff's like.
Yeah, I mean, I try to have a good balance of like world traveling and also racing. It was highs and lows, peaks and valleys. There's really great moments and great opportunities that I had, and also there's some lows. Like for a while I was racing for a pretty lower end team, and I just hey there.
Yep, gotcha.
Sorry. Yeah, I had a call come in. I mean, I had some lows, and that's kind of what made the highs higher. It's just racing like a standard bike, no modifications for a lower grade team trying to go up against, world GP bikes. And it makes it tough when you're behind on equipment. And I ended up leaving the one team, and that's what opened a new opportunity. And I got to fill in with the factory supported Cowie team. And that's what brought the highs. It's just crazy how having some support behind you and a team behind you changes your whole racing mindset, and having a good bike changes everything. I went from being a 20th place guy to top 5, and even having some of the fastest laps on the track. So just having, that team and support, it really puts you in a whole new mindset.
Oh, that's cool, man. Again, those are memories you'll have forever too, man. That's pretty cool to go over and get the opportunity to do that. But so when did the opportunity to come to? I mean, you've periodically shown up at like some Eastern rounds in Canada over the years, but when did you first get touched up with? I guess it was with Al Dick and the Sky Racing guys last year. How'd that come up?
It actually came through Joey Crown. Joey had an injury, and we're both from Michigan. He told me to send Al a message, see if he had anything available. And yeah, like he said, I had done a couple Canadian rounds in the past. I raced Walton, I had a podium, and also raced Gopher. Being from Michigan, I mean, those races are only like 2 hours away. I'm right close to Port Huron. So, yeah, I kind of had a feeling for how Canada went before. And last year started out the season well with Al, and we stumbled along the way, but we ended with, 4 out of 8 races on the podium. So I think we had a pretty successful year versus we were working with, and we showed up and did the best we could every weekend.
Right. Okay. So overall, where would you put overall last year? How did 2019 go in Canada for you? Like overall, was it?
Yeah, I think I left a little bit out on the table. I had the red plate after the mud one. It was round 3. I forget the name. In Minnedosa.
Yeah.
I ended up leaving there with the red plate and Gopher. There was a big gap. I trained my ass off, probably way overdid it, way overthought everything. I was really trying to not leave anything on the table in my training, and I probably just did a little too much. And in that time period, I came into Gopher and I absolutely tanked it. And I feel like that should have been the race where I shined the most. And I went 4-4 or something like that, and started in 25th place and came from the back and pretty much blew it. So I think there's just a few races where I mentally destructed myself when I felt like I was there, and even lap times at the end, there's plenty of scenarios where I was fastest guy, leading up at the end. I just couldn't put it together in the beginning and get the start. And, obviously Dylan last year had just an incredible season, winning 8 out of 10 last races. His speed was on a whole new level. And I would have liked to, have kind of latch on to him a little more. I was trying to, latch on him a little bit, but he just rode so dang good. So, yeah, I mean, ideally I'd like to have a season this year like Dylan did last year, because he smashed it.
Right. Okay. Well, that brings us to this year now. Now you got talking with Chad Goodwin and the boys. You got Tyler Medaglia and Matt Goerke as your teammates and stuff. How did that all come together, and what's that looking like?
Yeah, Chad was he reached out. I reached out to him too. We both kind of talked to each other and gave me an incredible opportunity with a 2-year deal to race for, the Hubers squad. And we had a little bit of time to spend together out in California. We tested together, me and Tyler. Matt was still hurt at the time, but had a great time with the team. I wish we could spend a little more time together. We spent a lot of time apart by now. I mean, all this stuff going on, but I really enjoyed being around the whole squad. It was super fun to laugh and be serious. They don't mess around either. So, yeah, I can't wait to get to the races with my team.
Nice, man. Now, you're supposed to say Monster Energy Kawasaki Pro Circuit.
Yeah, the whole sponsor tag, Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki Canada.
Now, I saw you for the first time.
I'm not used to having a big tag.
Uh-oh. You all right? We got you?
Yep. Yeah.
Now, last time I saw you, and the first time I saw you on your 250 was at that Tampa Pro Circuit Pro race there.
Yeah.
You were on the 250 at that race. How did that feel? I mean, you looked really good. You're a bit underpowered, though.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I wish I would have had the 450 for that, but it's still a fun time. I just had a bit of a vision malfunction with my sweat, and I don't know what happened, some weird stuff, but I had a good start, and then I was right there, whole shot at it, but kind of crumbled halfway through. I'm not super pumped on my performance. I think I had a little bit more to give, but it's just a little warm up, get the feet wet, and kind of see where I'm at. And I don't feel like I was too far off where I need to be.
Okay, so I mean, as a rider, as a factory rider in the series and stuff like that, you're just what are you doing to kind of prepare for this season? I mean, it's still up in the air. We don't know exactly when we're going to be able to go racing. How do you approach this? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, right now I'm trying to just maintain my riding. I'm not trying to overdo it. Have some qualities on the bike. I have a really awesome practice bike the team supplied me with here, and I've just been trying to make my days count. I'm not trying to just do pound laps and just to ride. I'm trying to have the best simulation days and work on my weaknesses and try to make them strengths. So I just been trying to keep the riding moderate, and I've been training a lot off the bike, doing mountain biking, gym workouts, and trying to put a little more emphasis on the off the bike training until we have it for certain time, like maybe gets a little closer, start stacking a little more time on the bike. Right now I'm just trying to maintain and ride a little bit every week, a couple days here and there.
Right. Yeah. I keep talking with, team managers and stuff like that, and they're trying to keep, parts aren't coming in like they normally would either. So it's kind of, you got to keep everything a bit tempered a bit. But have you been riding against any or with any fast Canadians or anybody else in the 250 class down there?
There's a few quick guys. I think they're more amateur kids that came up from last year. I've been training with a few of them at club, and I don't know. Honestly, it's been just a weird little deal because Moffenbauer was down there. We were training a good bit together, and he ended up having to head back. Sean's great to train with, and other than that, it's kind of just been me and I try to stack up. Kyle Peters, we were riding together for a while too, but no, I'm not really sure where I stand compared to everybody else at the moment. I'm just trying to focus on what I can do.
Nice. Well, I'm not sure how this is going to come across in the video. We actually have a bit of a breakup here on the Wi-Fi kind of thing, but I just thanks for chatting with us, man. We might as well we'll end it there. Don't need unless there's something else you want to mention that we didn't mention. Is there anything else you feel you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, dude. Well, do you know your sponsors? Do you want to thank some sponsors before we finish this?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Monster Energy Pro Circuit, Huber's, Kawasaki, 100% Dunlop, Alpine Stars, Parts Canada, and I'd like to give a shout out to Heli Realtor, here on Appraisal Services, MMCR, and Start.
All right. Well, hopefully we see you at Gopher Dunes in July, man. We'll see. I guess beginning of June we get another update on what's going to be allowed to happen. So keep up your training, buddy, and thank you very much for talking with us. And good luck.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. See ya.
Yep. Bye.